Hey y'all, welcome back to another What's for Dinner. We started off the week with this meal cooked by my dad. You guys seem to really love when I show the things that he makes. So this is a pork roast that was cooked with some potatoes, carrots, and sauerkraut, and then topped with a brown gravy. I'm not normally a sauerkraut fan, but it was so yummy in this dish, and the next time that he makes it, I am going to film the process for you guys. And then for the sides, I just have some macaroni and cheese, green beans, and cornbread muffins. Tonight, I'm trying a new recipe for a chicken bacon ranch crescent roll-up type casserole. So the first couple things that I need to do is chop up some cooked chicken and also some bacon. And I'm just taking shortcuts tonight, and I'm using a rotisserie from Walmart. I'm going to remove the skin and obviously take it off the bones. I'll probably just use both of the breasts because I only need 1.5 cups of cooked chicken. And I'm also just using some pre-cooked bacon. So I'm just going to throw this in the microwave. I'll probably cook up the whole package. You need 1/2 cup of chopped bacon. So I'm going to go ahead and get those things started. So I'm not going to use the whole package because that looks good enough. So I'm just going to give the rest of this to Riley. Okay, so now I'm going to add some ranch dressing. You need about 1/3 cup. I'm not going to measure it. That looks good. And then I'm just going to toss in some shredded sharp cheddar cheese, or use your favorite kind, doesn't matter. You need about 1/2 cup of that. Looks good. And then I'm just going to simply mix this together. And fun fact, I actually do not like the Hidden Valley Ranch. I like the seasoning, but I do not like the bottled stuff. I prefer this, or the Save-A-Lot brand. But anyways, I'm just going to continue to mix this until it looks something like this, just until it's all coated. So I'm just going to scoop this to the side, and then to a smaller mixing bowl, I'm just going to be combining 1 can of cream of chicken soup, and you need 1/2 cup of milk, but I actually let my milk run out of date, but luckily I had some heavy whipping cream, so I'm just going to use that instead and make it extra fattening. So I'm just going to get these two things mixed together. And the recipe doesn't say to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and add in some black pepper because why not? And then also some garlic powder. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 350 degrees. And then I'm just going to spray a 9x13 casserole dish with some nonstick cooking spray. And then I have an 8 count plus a 4 count of crescent rolls. I'm just going to lay these out on this paper plate and stuff it with this chicken bacon ranch cheese mixture. So now that I have all of these finely rolled up, I'm just going to take this cream of chicken and heavy cream mixture, and I'm just going to pour that all over the top. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that the Pillsbury crescent rolls did so much better than the Great Value ones. I love most Great Value brand products, but I don't think I'm going to be buying their crescent rolls anymore because they were just extremely hard to work with. So I'd rather spend a little bit extra and get the better quality. So now I'm just going to pop this in my oven for 30 minutes. when these came out of the oven, I just topped them with some dried parsley just to make them a little prettier. And then for the sides, I just have some French style green beans and then some of this long grain and wild rice. I love these Uncle Ben microwave pouches. I try to keep them on hand at all times because they are so convenient and I think they're really good. But as for these chicken roll-ups, they turned out amazing, just like I knew they would. I know they're not the healthiest things in the world, but treat yourself. I highly recommend these. I'm about to try out a new recipe for a Kentucky hot brown quiche. I am from Kentucky, if you didn't know that already, and I have actually never had a Kentucky hot brown before, so I'm not sure how this is going to even compare, but it looks and sounds really good, and it's coming from one of my favorite bloggers, I guess you would call her, and her name is Plain Chicken on there. I have tried so many of her recipes, and I'm never disappointed, so shout out to you. I doubt you're watching, but shout out. I will have her recipe linked down in my description box as always. So I'm going to get this flipped around and show you what I'm going to do first. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is cook up this bacon. This is half a package. I'm going to cook that in the oven. That's my favorite way to cook bacon. And then I'm just going to crumble that up. While that is in the oven, I'm going to go ahead and shred up some Swiss cheese. My Walmart was out of the 8-ounce block, so I had to get a big 1-pound block. I don't use Swiss cheese all that often, so I'll probably just portion off what I need and then freeze the rest. I'm also going to chop up some turkey. I got this cut from the Walmart deli. If you have any leftover turkey in your freezer or whatever from holidays, that would be a perfect recipe to use it up in. And then I'm also going to chop up a couple Roma tomatoes. Now that I have all of those toppings chopped up and prepped and ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and crack in 3 large eggs to a mixing bowl. And then I'm going to be adding in 1 cup of milk. I was still out of regular milk by this point, so I just used some almond milk in place of that. I was also out of sour cream, so I just used some plain Greek yogurt. That's a great substitute. And I'm just going to add 3 tablespoons in, and then I'm just going to simply season it with some salt and black pepper and just whisk all of that together really well. And then I'm going to set that to the side. You are going to need a deep dish pie crust. I found this in the freezer section. And then I'm just going to take all of those toppings and dump that into the bottom of the pie shell. And you do want to make sure that it is a deep dish pie crust and not a regular. And sorry if this grosses you out, but I just got in there with my hands and mixed everything together. That way it could be evenly distributed. And then I took that egg and milk mixture and just poured it evenly over the top. I was sure that it was just going to start pouring all over the sides because it was super full, but I did carefully pick it up and place it onto a cookie sheet. That way, if it started spilling out as it was baking, the cookie sheet would catch it and it wouldn't make a huge mess in my oven, and it did spill out a little bit, so luckily that cookie sheet caught it. But I just popped it in my oven at 350 degrees for 1 hour, and here is what it looked like when it came straight out of the oven. I just topped it with some parsley and I let it sit for about 15 minutes before I went to slice into it. So here is my plate. I know it's not the prettiest thing ever. I did sprinkle it with plenty of extra black pepper. If you've been with me for a while now, y'all know I love my pepper. I had originally planned on serving this with a side of fruit, but I honestly just wasn't feeling it. But this turned out so yummy. My only complaint was it did come out a little bit runny. If you look at the bottom of my plate, you can see a little bit of liquid. I don't know if that's because I used almond milk instead of regular, or if it's from the tomatoes, because the Pinterest picture did not look runny at all, but I would definitely make it again. So for the last meal idea in this video, I'm going to be trying out a new recipe for a steak enchilada soup. So the original recipe called for stew meat, but it's a lot cheaper to just buy a chuck roast and chop it up yourself. But I was lazy and didn't even do that, so I just threw it in whole. But the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to season both sides with some salt and pepper. I'm going to be using my Casserole cooker for this because you can sear stuff in it and then convert it to a crock pot. But if you don't have something like this, just use your stovetop and do this step in a skillet. Next, I'm just going to take some plain all-purpose flour and sprinkle that all over the meat and just rub it in. This is what's going to help form a really nice crust on your meat and lock in all of those flavors. So I'm just going to take some vegetable oil, about 2 to 3 tablespoons, and just dump it on in there and let that heat up. And then I'm going to place my roast in there, and I'm just going to sear it for a few minutes on each side. Now's the easy part. I'm just going to start dumping some stuff in. So I have a can of corn that has been drained, as well as a can of pinto beans that have been drained and rinsed. Same thing for the black beans. I just rinsed and drained them. Toss them on in there. I'm also going to be adding in a can of Rotel or some diced tomatoes with green chilies. I left the liquid in those. And then I'm also going to be pouring in 2.5 cups of beef broth, followed by a can of enchilada sauce. This is a 19 ounce, and I did use mild, but if you like spicier, get the hot one. I'm also going to be using some ranch seasoning. You need a whole packet or 3 tablespoons. And then lastly, just a package of taco seasoning. And I'm just going to pull out a spoon and quickly mix that together. I cooked this on high for 4 hours. I do prefer to cook roast on low for 8, but I got a late start and we didn't end up having this until like 9 p.m., but it's okay. So here it is after the 4 hours. I just took the roast and removed it to a separate bowl and shredded it up with 2 forks. Normally I would do this right into the pot and not even worry about dirtying up another dish, but this type of crock pot, I did not want to scratch the surface. That would be bad. But I am just taking that meat and adding it back on into the soup and giving it a stir, and it is ready to be served. This is perfect for this time of the year. So here is my bowl. I just topped it with some shredded cheese. Once again, I used some plain Greek yogurt in place of sour cream, and then I tossed in some of these tortilla strips. This soup was amazing. It reminded me of all the other taco soups that I have made in the past, except of course it has the roast this time, which gave it so much more flavor. My kids love this, which shocked me because they don't normally eat roast, but it's a keeper. So that is going to wrap up another week of dinners. I just wanted to come on here and say that I'm planning on filming a Q&A soon. I posted about it yesterday on Instagram, which, by the way, if you are not following me on there, you totally should. I will have my username somewhere on the screen. I want to start growing my following and doing more things on there. But anyways, it has been a long time since I have filmed a Q&A. A lot has changed. So leave me some comments down below. Let me know if you don't want your name in the video, because I do plan on putting that in there more than likely. But I'm done talking now. I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching my videos. I really appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you all have an awesome week. I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.